We get the engine started on today's Mobil One The Grid down under at the Sydney SuperNight.
Round 15 of the Australian Supercars Championship brought Walkinshaw Andretti United to Sydney Motorsport Park, along with thousands of race fans packed in to see the fire-breathing V8 racing under the lights.
Night racing is super special for our sport. It really brings the cars to the fore, and in that respect we're all about entertainment. So the better we can create the spectacle, the better for the fans. And you know what, when you see grandstands full and the people coming in to see what is a unique spectacle in supercars, it's really cool.
This weekend is my first Supercars night race, which will be amazing. The coolest thing watching the Sydney SuperNight usually is all the flames and everything that happens, and I think that's going to be my favourite part. Hopefully get some cool photos.
It's pretty cool to celebrate the 50 years with Mobil One this weekend and with a special livery. And I don't know, I've got a bit of a soft spot. That gold on a race car looks pretty cool, and we obviously want to get the results this weekend to represent that partnership.
WAU and their two specially liveried Mustangs had arrived for the Saturday night race just 11 days after the previous round in Townsville.
This has been quite a tight turnaround. Logistically, some of the workshop things that we would do, we just don't quite have the time to do. And the guys and girls here at WAU are going to do it at the racetrack, basically more around the setup side of things with the cars.
A lot of this weekend is based around twilight and night racing, so for us, like it changes a bit with how cold the temperatures get, especially considering we've just come from Darwin and Townsville where the temperatures are actually quite high. You come to here and you're talking like temperatures sub 10 degrees.
We're going quite deep into, I think it's 7, 8 o'clock at night, so the cars are going to change and dew comes up and a bit of moisture and stuff like that, and who knows, maybe a bit of rain, so it obviously affects the way the car handles.
The race lengths this year is very exciting because it really opens up the strategy. The longer races, the more the engineers can do, which also factors in a lot what the race can do. So I really quite like racing around here. The surface makes it interesting and you really showcase that where your result is in the race.
Ryan Wood in the number 2 Mustang produced the fastest time in practice. But in the top 10 qualifying shootout, it was the number 25 car that secured the best starting position.
Chaz did a really great job. P3, starting second row, we've got a lot of pace, and listening to the debrief from the truck, we know we've got more to come. Woody didn't make the 10, was just outside by a tenth and a half. He's got the pace, we know he's going to come through tonight, and with Chaz starting second row, anything can happen. We've got a great car, let's go.
It's Supercars fight night in Sydney, and they are side by side through turn 1, and they've opened the margin already to Chaz Mostert.
It was a race of strategy, and Mostert was charging up the order. By the final few laps, he was hot on the heels of race leader Matt Payne.
Chaz is a very good driver. He wants to know essentially everything that's going on, like what position is he, who's he racing, fuel in hand, all those type of things on the guys he's actually racing around. But at the same time, concentrating on how to get that thing to the front.
The WAU veteran executed a perfect 2-stop plan, moving into the lead with just 4 laps to go. Ryan Wood finished outside of the top 10, but for Mostert, it was his 3rd Sydney SuperNight victory.
Out of the final corner now, great driving and a wonderful strategy play. Chaz Mostert for the Mobil One Optus Mustang.
That is awesome, that is bloody awesome.
Didn't expect that. I thought we're going to have a good night tonight, hopefully get a trophy, but you never expect to win. Something about special liveries lately seem to be giving us quite good results, so I don't know, I like the Mobil One Pegasus gold car. I think we need to try and keep it.
In the top categories of motorsport, teams rely on a small army to go racing. On the sporting side, the focus is on the drivers, engineers and mechanics, but equally important are the team members who help look after the business side of a campaign. At WEC outfit Hertz Team JOTA, Nella Korilova is Events and Partnerships Manager.
I basically supervise the planning and executions of the events for the team, truck side, or any events we might also do outside of the truck. Anything and everything, so from hotel, from the transport, from garage tours, from meals, and actually experiencing the backstage, experiencing our JOTA way and the family, that they can actually feel welcome.
For Nella, a career in motorsport was almost inevitable, growing up not far from one of Europe's best racetracks, Brno, and in a city famed for its rally.
I originally come from Czech Republic, from a city called Zlín, and we are very famous for a rally called Barum Rally Zlín. I grew up in a motorsport family. My dad is engineer, my brother is an engineer. I actually have a nephew as well who is a racing driver, so for me it was a natural process and a passion that I grew up with.
Nella first worked with Team JOTA in 2018, but with their step up into the top hypercar category, she's now balancing the need for focused race performance with giving guests and partners a rich event experience.
So my team works very closely with the engineering team, and there are certain preparations that we do beforehand, so we don't sacrifice any performance. We have very understanding partners, so we just tailor our experience around that we can win the races in the first place. My team is very well structured, so actually coming to the event and then when the guests are here, I am more of supervising the people and actually then entertaining and experiencing with our partners.
The drivers are an obvious asset in marketing operations, and the relationship with the guys on both cars is key.
Oh, the lineup we have this year is just amazing. We have a strong personalities, but they work so well together, and they are the full package. Not only they are fast on track, but they can actually entertain the partners, and they understand that without the partners, we wouldn't be on the grid. All of the 6 drivers are amazing. Anytime I ask, they always do what we need, and they understand. They also are here for the partners, so if they want to sign the card, if they want to do meet and greet, they are all up for it. And also they are there for the fans. As an example, what we have done for them in Spa, we have arranged VIP laps with Jensen, so that was one of the main experiences, and it's something that money can't buy.
I drove hot laps at Spa, and I don't often drive road cars on tracks. But it was fun, really good fun. Basically just trying to scare people, which is very easy to do as a racing driver because people don't know where you're supposed to brake for corners. You know, you see the 300, the 200, the 100, and you're braking after that. And you see people's feet in the cockpit, always searching for a brake pedal in the passenger seat, which is hilarious. But it was really good, and I think Nella knows what she's doing. You know, she chose me to take a lot of the team sponsors around, and yeah, I sufficiently scared them.
It's not always only about the drivers, it's about the team. The best feeling what they have given to us is enjoying the pizza and champagne with our mechanics after we have won Spa. Was one of the best experiences they value so much.
The team's win at Spa was as important to Korilova's team as those on the sporting side, and with both cars finishing on the lead lap at Le Mans, first and second in the Privateers World Cup, the whole team could celebrate a job well done.
We all love it. We wouldn't be here. It's glamorous on the outside, but at the end it's working 14, 16 hours a day sometimes, all overnight if we have to, but that's all the passion we have. There is no other team like this. We are family, we have to work hard and we push boundaries, but we enjoy ourselves all the way.
The NASCAR Cup Series produces some spectacular crashes in the course of a season, and in last year's Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona, Stewart-Haas Racing's Ryan Preece experienced one of the biggest.
Oh, and around goes a couple cars. Preece upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass.
So at Daytona last year in August, I would say that was probably the most horrendous wreck that I've had visually in a race car, flipping 13 or however many times. I wish I could tell you it's an experience, but I closed my eyes and just, I waited for it to be over.
Ryan Preece, upside down in the infield.
When it all came to an end, I kind of sat there and collected my thoughts and realized that I was okay. I shook my feet and my arms, and you know, obviously I was still able to move all those parts. So I was really lucky to be able to walk away from it.
It was a harrowing crash to watch, and in the cockpit, Preece endured multiple impacts and massive centrifugal loads as the car barrel rolled over the infield grass.
We had 4 pretty good collisions with the halo right above his head, and it did give way somewhat, but it stayed intact. As far as injuries, he didn't have any injuries per se, but he did have some blood vessels ruptures in his eyes, and that was all due to the centrifugal force of him spinning for the longer duration. A lot of times we see that crash data and you see high G loads, but it's for milliseconds, where he spun for seconds.
I just remember sliding in the grass and it being really loud, hearing tires squealing, and then it got super quiet, like to the point of where you knew that something was about to happen, and from there you were along for the ride. It was a long few seconds. In the next gen's case, there's an added brace right by your seat to protect the roll cage from collapsing in case of a rollover. That did its job.
Your biggest fear of any kind is having somebody hurt in one of the race cars that you've taken apart and preparing, and then obviously we spend more time together than I spend with my wife, so you have a friendship there, and you know it's one of the bigger crashes that we've had in NASCAR in quite some time, and to see him be able to walk away from it says a lot for where we're at as an industry.
Preece was battered and bruised, but otherwise unharmed. And incredibly, he got back in the 41 Ford Mustang for the opening round of the playoffs the following weekend.
Obviously, it looked very dramatic, and it wasn't an easy crash, but as far as the toll it takes on the driver's body is a better crash to have than a sudden stop. But no, I think the car safety, but his stubbornness probably helped him just as much as the car safety did.
Ryan Preece climbed out of the car. They'll go to the infield care center. He'll get checked out.
I mean, he texted me from the infield care center and said, be ready for Darlington because I'm going. Like, there was no question. You know, there was a lot of questions in everybody else's mind on whether he would race or not, and I never had a plan for anybody else to be in the car at Darlington other than him.
As a race car driver, you know and you realize that there's a risk that you can wreck. We've all been there. I've had throttles hang on me. I've launched cars out of the racetrack, and you just look at it as, all right, let's get back in. So to me, it really didn't bother me. I had no problem getting in the race car the next week or even Daytona. It doesn't bother me, but I do know it shook my wife up and my father up more than anyone, just seeing that.
We head stateside now to meet the man with the winning formula on the drag strips. After a run of 25 top 10 points finishes, Doug Kalitta finally won the NHRA Top Fuel Championship last season, and the mastermind behind his breakthrough success was legendary crew chief Alan Johnson.
So the 2023 season, you know, we started kind of slow. We tested well, but we still had some holdover problems from the year before that we needed to get straightened out. But for the most part, we eliminated all that by the mid-season to where we ran well, we qualified well, and we won some races and won the championship.
Johnson is recognized as one of the greatest top fuel minds in the history of the NHRA, and alongside Brian Hewson, the veteran tuner has led some of the sport's biggest names to championship success.
Brian Hewson and I have worked together for quite some time. We've got a number of championships together, so we kind of have the recipe on how to do it. We've taken it from team to team in the past and had some success, so we know how to do it. But when you change teams 3 or 4 times in a decade, it becomes a challenge.
We went a little over a year without even winning a race, so I was thinking, man, if I don't win a race with Alan Johnson, my crew chief, you know, that's not going to look good on my resume, right? But towards the middle of last year, we started to click and we started to get some wins, and then our confidence and everything else that took to pull off.
In this sport of drag racing and top fuel, most teams have enough power to win the race. It's learning how to manage the power through the clutch, through the tires, and making sure that you don't break traction, because that's obviously a key component in us going fast, is having complete traction to the finish line.
Under the Johnson effect, the Mack Tools dragster began to produce winning power and had moved into title contention by the second half of the season.
We felt really comfortable with the way our car was running and the tune-up that we had designed for it for the end of that year, and it started to pay off. We had an issue in Reading, Pennsylvania, where we blew a tire on one of our qualifying runs, and we ended up winning that race. So that's when we knew that we had the potential to win the championship.
After winning 3 of the 6 races in the countdown to the championship, Johnson and his team faced a final hurdle, the In-N-Out Burger NHRA Finals at Pomona.
When everybody knew that we had a shot at winning a championship, I think their focus actually went up a couple notches, because they could taste that championship headed their way, and they knew that they just had to perform their duties like they had the last 6 races leading up to that, and if they did all their jobs right, there was a good chance we could win, and they did it.
Yeah, 26 years. I was second 6 times, so I have just a ton of support from the fans and even the competitors that I race against. They were happy to see that I managed to pull it off, and I was just very fortunate and very relieved. Last round, they didn't make it easy on us, but it was exciting, and it was just a dream come true.
We're here for the competitive nature of the sport, and to have a chance of winning a championship, that's the kind of feeling that we're always looking for, right? I think all the great athletes are that way, people that have that high competitive spirit, they're looking for that feeling, and we were too, so it was quite gratifying to finish the season that way.
Time for a quick update on some of the major race series as we reach the halfway point of 2024. It's been a breakthrough season for Porsche, with the 963 hypercar claiming its first wins in the World Endurance Championship. The upturn in performance began at the curtain raiser in Qatar.
Penske Porsche, they will take their first win in the World Endurance Championship in the 10-hour season opener. Victory for Porsche and Penske Racing.
The German marque continued to lead the season standings ahead of Toyota. They've picked up 2 wins so far. Ferrari in third, went back-to-back in the Le Mans 24 Hours in June. The Porsche 963 has been even more successful in North America, where they've had 3 victories in the IMSA Sports Car Championship, most recently at the 6 Hours of the Glen. And as the GTP class sat out the Canadian round, the spotlight instead fell on the GT3 Pro contenders at Corvette, with a big moment for their new Z06 GT3R.
The number 3 with Antonio Garcia on board takes the maiden victory for this new Corvette. It's 13 victories here at this track for Corvette Racing.
With 7 victories this year, Max Verstappen remains the man to beat in the F1 World Championship. Red Bull will be rattled though, as their Dutch ace is winless in the last 4 races, but he still holds a 78-point lead over closest rival Lando Norris. In the World Rally Championship, a battle has been raging all season long between Toyota and Hyundai. And whilst it's Elfyn Evans that is wrestling with Thierry Neuville for the Drivers' Championship, it's Toyota's part-season drivers who've been clocking up the victories. Sebastian Ogier has 2. Kalle Rovanperä has 3, including perhaps his finest ever drive at Rally Poland, where he replaced the injured Ogier at the last minute and went on to win 8 of the 19 stages alongside co-driver Joni Halttunen. The pair then followed up with victory in Latvia, as the manufacturer's standing showed just a single point separating Hyundai and Toyota. And finally, Colorado was the setting for the famous Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, where David Donoghue took victory in the Time Attack 1 class, screaming up America's mountain in his 2014 Porsche 911 Turbo R.
Toyota Gazoo Racing have a new face this year in their number 7 GR010 hypercar in the form of Dutch 29-year-old Nyck De Vries, who joins Kamui Kobayashi and Mike Conway for their World Endurance Championship campaign.
I'm very much enjoying the environment, the work we do together. Of course, we haven't been the quickest or the most performant so far. I do believe we've done a fairly good job in executing the maximum of the package we had so far, but I'm feeling very welcome and I'm really enjoying the work we do collectively with my teammates. Mike's a great asset and value to our team. My sister was actually a fan of Kamui, having his t-shirt and everything. I remember watching him driving Formula 1 when I was in karting. He scored in Formula 1 at Suzuka, being chased by Jensen at the end of the race. So it's great to be sharing a car with such great drivers that already accomplished so much in our sport and in this championship.
Despite Conway missing Le Mans after a cycling accident, with Jose Maria Lopez deputising, the team finished runners-up, a first podium for De Vries at the Great French Race. But his first win with Toyota came 2 rounds earlier at Imola.
It was very nice to be back on the top step of the podium. It was a little while ago for myself, and to be on the top step together with my teammates and the team joining this year was a great feeling, and I think the race was even more satisfying because it was won on execution and not so much on pace. So it was a great effort by everyone involved, and the championship is longer than one race.
De Vries has been doubling up racing in Formula E as well as the WEC this season, after a brief stint in Formula One where he lost his seat midway through 2023.
My time in Formula One, I mean, that's every young racing driver's dream. So I'm very thankful that I had the opportunity to fulfill that dream, to experience it, to live it. But unfortunately, it didn't work out, and that was a shorter chapter in my journey and in my career of racing, and that's it, we move on. I'm very much enjoying the two programs I have at the moment. I feel very privileged to have the opportunity to race in both Formula E and WEC championships. That offers me to do, a little bit more racing. Otherwise, I would only do 8 events with Toyota. And the difference between the two is really interesting and exciting from many different angles.
De Vries and Kobayashi sit third in the driver standings, and though the WEC's top category has never been more competitive, with Porsche and Ferrari looking especially strong, the Dutchman is enjoying the challenge of the hypercar era.
I always look at it from a competitive point of view. I've been very fortunate to race in many different series in my career and many different cars, but the competition, the drive to be the best at what you do, to beat the others, that's what really excites me. And in endurance racing, I really enjoy the kind of dynamics of sharing a car, being in a team, achieving something together. I think endurance racing, WEC and Le Mans are all experiencing its kind of peak, and I think we should all really cherish this moment and enjoy it, but obviously, hopefully, we come out on top. But it's great to be part of, I would say, the whole ecosystem in this time.
Next time, we get inside the head of a MotoGP rider and meet the 2024 Porsche Junior. See you then on Mobil 1 The Grid.